around 2 a.m. on the 24th of September 2025, the night skies over Ukraine erupted in a new wave of aggression. Russian drones struck across multiple regions, Kyiv, Odessa, and southern cities, triggering air raid sirens and plunging communities into darkness. Ukrainian air defenses scrambled to intercept dozens of incoming drones. Some were shot down, some broke through. Fires ignited in residential zones. In one tragic instance, a young pregnant woman critically injured by a drone later died after weeks of treatment, while her newborn survived. This is the harsh reality of a conflict where every hour brings new violence, and where Vladimir Putin's strategies are unraveling in real time. Putin's strategy and its cracks. Putin entered 2025 with high stakes. He believed that by leveraging the entry of Donald Trump in the White House, he could tilt the geopolitics to Russia's favor. He wagered that Trump's skepticism toward NATO would fracture the alliance, and that the West would grow weary of supporting Ukraine. With that, Moscow could force Ukraine into concessions, cede Donetsk and Luhansk, end Ukrainian mobilization, and demand that Western support be cut off. He expected to push NATO into paralysis through diplomatic theater, endless peace talks, and the illusion of moderation. But the strategy has not worked. Putin's demands were never serious peace proposals. They were traps. As analysts have pointed out, Moscow kept refusing to depart from maximalist positions. In meeting after meeting, even during high-visibility summits like Alaska, Putin stuck to the same demands. That approach has backfired. Ukraine and NATO see through it. They interpret each meeting not as a path to peace, but as a stage for Russian propaganda. Instead of polarizing the alliance, Putin has galvanized it, escalating drone wars and Russian vulnerabilities. On September 20, Russia launched one of its most aggressive assaults in months, a barrage of approximately 580 drones and 40 missiles targeting 9 regions across Ukraine. Ukrainian air defenses intercepted most 552 drones and 31 missiles, but some still inflicted damage. In Dnipro, a cluster munition slammed into a residential building, killing 1 person and injuring 26. Much of the power grid and civilian infrastructure in cities like Chernihiv and Khmelnytsky was hit. In southern Ukraine, Zaporizhzhia was also struck in a major overnight raid. At least 3 people died, dozens were wounded, and residential buildings and neighborhoods faced serious damage. Officials say 10 bombs landed in one strike. Meanwhile, Ukrainian defenses say they intercepted over 100 drones on that same night. On the Russian side, Ukraine has intensified its counterattacks deep into Russian territory. In Bashkortostan, the Gazprom-controlled Salavat petrochemical complex was struck by drones, the second such strike in less than a week. Russian officials call it a terrorist drone attack. Turn 0, News 20. In Krasnodar's port city of Novorossiysk, a drone strike killed 2 people, wounded 6, and forced a state of emergency in the region. The Caspian Pipeline Consortium terminal was hit, though its operations were reportedly not completely halted. Russian refineries are operating at lower throughput because of repeated attacks, rising interest rates, and supply chain pressures. The result is that certain fuel grades are becoming scarce, especially for private stations that can't carry large reserves. Analysts say these dynamics threaten to push Russia into a domestic fuel crisis, frontline stalemate, and tactical strain. Despite these heavy attacks, the front lines in Ukraine are largely locked in place. A Russian senator admitted that neither side is making meaningful breakthroughs, describing the battlefield as heavily mined, surveilled by drones, and extremely resistant to movement. In contested zones like Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia, Ukrainian forces are conducting defensive operations and localized counterattacks.
Destructive arms race in human history. He urged world powers to help stop Russia's war in Ukraine, saying the conflict is fueling this dangerous escalation.
We are now living through the most destructive arms race in human history, because this time includes artificial intelligence. And if there are no real security guarantees except friends and weapons, and if the world can't respond even to old threats, and
Russian troops, often comprised of newly drafted conscripts, are pressing forward but facing stiff resistance, attrition, and material shortages. Both sides endure heavy losses for small gains in terrain. Ukraine's strategy emphasizes flexibility, leveraging Western-supplied artillery, air defense systems, and reconnaissance to disrupt Russian advances. Russia counters with mass drone swarms and long-range missile strikes aimed at degrading supply lines and infrastructure behind Ukrainian lines. NATO under pressure incursions and Eastern Sentry. When diplomacy failed to weaken NATO, Putin shifted to probing its boundaries. On the 10th of September 2025, up to 23 Russian drones entered Polish airspace. Some were shot down, some skirted over major airports. Poland invoked Article 4 of the NATO treaty, seeking consultations from allies. In response, NATO launched Operation Eastern Sentry on September 12, deploying a more integrated defense posture along its eastern flank, combining air, sea, and ground assets. Nations, including France, Germany, the UK, Denmark, and others, committed fighter jets, anti-drone systems, and rapid response capabilities. This operation now serves as NATO's backbone for detecting and deterring Russian airspace aggression. Russia continued its tests. On September 19, 3 MiG-31 jets violated Estonian airspace, neglecting to respond to warnings and prompting NATO fighters to intercept. Several days prior, surveillance and fighter aircraft were detected over the Baltic Sea, and Denmark and Sweden scrambled to intercept IL-20 and Su-30 aircraft. These incursions are part of a pattern, a systematic testing of NATO's resolve. In its official statement, NATO reaffirmed that incursions would not go unanswered. Trump, in a surprising turn, publicly stated "Yes, I do," when asked if NATO should shoot down Russian jets violating Allied airspace, backing a more robust posture than previously expected. Russia's Kremlin, in response, dismissed Trump's remarks as mistaken and offered to provide real information to U.S. decision-makers. Instead of division, Putin's provocations have delivered NATO unity. Rather than chilling support for Ukraine, they have galvanized it. Kremlin officials publicly defend economic stability, but analysts warn these shifts reflect desperation. Combined with Ukraine's attacks on refineries and export hubs, Russia faces both internal and external disruption. Its refining output has dropped nearly 20% on certain days, and margins have deteriorated. Fuel shortages and price spikes are now visible in various regions. Civilian infrastructure is torn apart by nightly drone barrages and missile strikes. Hospitals, apartment blocks, schools, none are safe. The death of the pregnant woman in Kyiv is more than tragedy. It is emblematic of the war's brutal toll on ordinary lives. A Ukrainian drone strike killed 3 people and injured 16 inches a resort area, targeting a location Moscow claimed had no military significance. Russian authorities called it a premeditated terrorist strike. Among more dramatic acts, Ukraine's Ghost unit reportedly destroyed 2 Russian B-12 amphibious warplanes in Crimea via drone attack, a rare high-value strike on Russian naval aviation assets. Each drone, missile, and explosion tilts normal life further away. Displaced families shelter in basements, schools operate underground, medical supply chains fracture, and the death count climbs. The war's relentless pace ensures that no individual loss is ever isolated. Each becomes part of a narrative of endurance and resistance. In this moment, Putin's efforts to fracture NATO and break Ukraine are failing. NATO has strengthened its eastern defenses. Ukraine deepened its ability to strike back. Russia's economy and social stability are creaking under pressure. Over the next months, key indicators matter. Whether Ukraine can sustain counteroffensives, whether Russia continues drone and missile raids deeper into Russian territory, how NATO adjusts rules of engagement for air incursions, whether internal Russian dissent grows, and whether Western support for Ukraine holds firm despite fatigue and cost. For now, the closest thing to a victory is this: NATO remains intact. Ukraine is still fighting. The Russian illusion of invincibility is fading. Putin may have hoped to break alliances, but instead helped renew them. As nights grow colder, as strikes intensify, and as resolve is tested everywhere from Kyiv to Novorossiysk, the war is entering a sharper phase, one defined not by sudden breakthroughs, but by endurance, resourcefulness, and the will to survive.